Listeners Paradise presents The Angel by William Blake. In this segment of today's video, we'll be talking about the poem. I'll be explaining it. I'll be listing out the important words, explaining the themes of the poem, as well as the rhyme scheme used by the poet to craft this beautiful poem. So let's get started. First, I'll read out the poem for you. I dreamt a dream. What can it mean? And that I was a maiden queen, guarded by an angel mild. Witless woe was never beguiled. And I wept both night and day, and he wiped my tears away. And I wept both day and night, and hid from him my heart's delight. So he took his wings and fled. Then the morn blushed rosy red. I dried my tears and armed my fears with 10,000 shields and spears. Soon my angel came again. I was armed, he came in vain. For the time of youth was fled, and grey hairs were on my head. This slide depicts the important words in the poem. I request you to pause the video and note the words down. Please note the words on this slide as well for better understanding the poem. Now we'll explain the poem to you. So in the first stanza, the poet opens the poem with the lines, I dreamt a dream. So we get an idea that whatever will be uttered in this poem by the means of this poem, they are all related to a dream that the poet dreamt. Okay, so where the poet is dreaming that the poet was a maiden queen protected by a gentle angel, and the dream, it seems positive as the angel is described as being mild. There is a sense of innocence and bliss. In the context of William Blake's poem, these lines can be interpreted as an expression of a dream or vision which were experienced by the poet himself. And dreams and visions are common themes in William Blake's work, often serving as a vehicle for exploring deeper truths or spiritual insights. The phrase maiden queen could carry symbolic significance in William Blake's poetry. It might represent purity, innocence, or a state of untainted virtue. In the broader context of the poem The Angel, and considering William Blake's thematic concerns, the dream of being a maiden queen might be seen as a reflection on the idealized state of innocence contrasted with the harsh realities of experience. Further, the poet talks about witless woe was never beguiled. So, the poet is describing a scene where the speaker is being watched over and protected by the gentle angel, and the term witless woe suggests that the speaker is free from any distress or sorrow. He is not burdened by the awareness of troubles. The phrase never beguiled implies that the speaker's innocence remains untouched and unspoiled. Overall, these four lines convey a sense of comfort, security, and the idea that the presence of the angel shields the speaker from the harsh realities of the world, allowing the speaker, the poet, to experience a peaceful and carefree existence. In the following lines, we see that the speaker reveals that despite the protection and comfort provided by the angel, they do experience sadness and tears. This is in the line, and I wept both night and day, and he wiped my tears away. So the angel wiped their tears away. So when the speaker is describing weeping both day and night, both night and day. See how the way the poet has twist. Generally we use the idea, the phrase day and night, but here the poet is using the words night and day to give a better visual appeal, poetic appeal. So here the poet is describing that the angel wiped their tears. However, there is a poignant twist revealed, where the tears are also shed to hide the poet's heart's delight. Where is this spoken about? It is spoken in the last line of the second stanza, where the poet is saying, and hid from him my heart's delight. So the poet in this stanza, he is exploring the complex emotions of human experience, portraying a struggle between being vulnerable as well as something. So William Blake is capturing the paradox of joy and sorrow, which are intertwined. It suggests that even moments of delight can be accompanied by a need for emotional self-preservation, revealing that the nuanced nature of human emotions are very complex, they are very nuanced. The angel consoles the speaker. The angel is consoling the speaker by wiping away the speaker's tears. But the poet is also concealing something, and that is their heart's delight from the angel, which suggests a hidden sorrow or longing. In the third stanza of this poem, Blake beautifully describes how the angel is flying away, and the morning which follows the angel's departure is a rosy red color, tinted color. Here the poet is describing as suggesting a sense of renewal or a new beginning, perhaps using that word rosy red, blushed rosy red. So after the celestial angel takes flight, the morning is blushing as if in response, and it further hints at the possibility of renewal and a fresh start after confronting the emotional challenges. The departure of the winged figure signals a transformative moment. The speaker reacts by drying their tears and arming their fears with shields and spears. This could symbolize a newfound strength or resilience gained after a period of vulnerability. Where the speaker is using the term dried my tears, it indicates a resolution to the maiden's sorrow. The imagery suggests a shift from emotional dependence to self-defense, embodying the resilience that can emerge from personal struggles. The maiden responds to the angel's departure by arming herself with shields and spears, indicating a transformation from being vulnerable to a more defensive stance. In the next stanza of the poem, the poet is recounting the return of the angel after having armed themselves emotionally. So throughout the poet is imagining himself as a maiden queen. Okay, so the angel has returned, but the poet has armed themselves emotionally, and thus the reunion between the angel and the maiden queen proves to be futile, as the time of youth has passed, and the speaker now bears the weight of grey hairs on their head. Despite the angel's return, the Maiden queen is now aged with grey hairs. So this indicates the term grey hairs, it indicates aging and the passage of time. And the speaker rejects the comfort and protection that the angel offers. Where is it understood? The speaker is using the lines, I was armed, he came in vain. He came in vain indicates that the speaker rejected the angel's return. And the reference to the time of youth being fled suggests that the innocence and purity assured with that youth has been lost forever. This narrative, this stanza, it underscores the inevitability of aging and the transient nature of youthful resilience. The return of the angel, once a source of comfort, now fails to bring solace, emphasizing the irreversible progression of time and the toll it takes on human experience. The poem captures the poignant realization that certain vulnerabilities become immutable with age, and the protective armor forged in youth may no longer suffice at old age. First, we'll talk about the theme of innocence and experience, which is central to William Blake's body of work. In this poem, The Angel, this theme is immediately evident in the opening lines of the poem itself. So the dream of being a maiden queen, it conjures images of purity, being untainted by the complexities and harsh realities. And this idealized state of innocence, it sets the stage for subsequent exploration of the transformative journey into experience. The transition from the dream to the emotional turmoil of weeping serves as a powerful metaphor for the loss of innocence. The dream world with its visions contrasts starkly with the emotional awakening and vulnerability experienced by the speaker. Blake's portrayal of innocence is not a static, unchanging state, but rather a dynamic and fragile condition, which is susceptible to the inevitable progression of time and the challenges of existence. The second theme which emerges in this poem is the role of the angel. The angel in this poem embodies the complex and multifaceted symbolism, and this celestial figure takes on the role of a consoling presence, where the act of wiping tears suggests a divine or spiritual intervention to alleviate the weeping and emotional distress of the speaker. However, the effectiveness of the angel's intervention is quickly questioned as the speaker continues to weep. There is also a shift in the narrative where the poet introduces a sense of futility, where the poet is saying, I was armed, he came in vain, in the last stanzas of the poem. So this shift in the narrative, it introduces a sense of vain. The angel came in vain. The angel came, it was a futile attempt. It prompts us as readers, as learners, to reflect on the limitations of spiritual solace in the face of the march of time and the complexities of the human experience. The angel, therefore, becomes a symbol that invites interpretation in this poem. It could represent spiritual guidance, the consequences of choices made, or the forces that shape and influence human existence. The departure of the angel marks a crucial turning point, signaling not only a departure from a state of innocence, but also a recognition of the inevitable changes and challenges that come with experience. The third theme in this poem which emerges is emotional complexity. Blake's exploration of human emotion in this poem, The Angel, is intricate and nuanced. The poem presents a series of emotional states, from the dreamlike innocence of the maiden queen to the weeping and finally the arming of fears, which we see in the second stanza of the poem. So these lines in the second stanza, they encapsulate the emotional complexities at the heart of the poem. The tears are being shed both day and night, which suggest a profound emotional turmoil, while the act of hiding the heart's delight introduces an element of concealment in the poem. This juxtaposition of weeping and hiding speaks to the intricate interplay of joy and sorrow, vulnerability and the instinct to shield one's innermost feelings. The emotional complexities challenges conventional dichotomies of happiness and sorrow. William Blake's portrayal acknowledges the multifaceted nature of human emotions, rejecting simplistic categorizations. The speaker's journey through weeping and emotional armor captures the dynamism of emotional experiences, emphasizing the transient nature of these experiences. Fourthly, the fourth theme which emerges is spiritual awakening and disillusionment. And we see that the poem unfolds a cycle of spiritual experiences, from the initial dream to weeping, subsequent realization that the time of youth has fled. So in the fourth stanza, we see that the poet is coming to terms with the time of youth has fled, the grey hair on their head, right? So this progression signifies a spiritual awakening marked by a recognition of the passage of time and the irreversible changes that come with this passage of time. The departure of the angel becomes a pivotal moment, prompting the speaker to confront the stark reality of aging and the limitations of youthful resiliences. The acknowledgement that the time of youth has fled introduces a sense of disillusionment in this poem. The protective measures taken by the speaker, symbolized by the drying of tears and the arming of fears, it proved futile in the face of the march of time. This theme of disillusionment echoes throughout William Blake's other works as well, where the idealized vision of innocence often give way to a sobering confrontation with the complexities of the human nature itself. The next theme is symbolism and allegory. A hallmark of William Blake's poetry is the rich use of symbolism and allegory, and this poem, The Angel, is no exception, with each element carrying layers of meaning. The dream, the angel, the weeping, the arming of fears can be interpreted as allegorical representations of broader aspects of the human condition and the spiritual journey. The dream of being a maiden queen symbolizes an idealized state of innocence and purity. The angel, as a celestial protective figure, a guardian, symbolizes spiritual forces or interventions. The weeping signifies the emotional turmoil and the loss of innocence, while the act of hiding the heart's delight introduces an element of secrecy or self-preservation. The departure of the angel and the grey hair on the head symbolizes the inescapable reality of aging. Next, the final theme which emerges is existential reflections, and beyond these specified themes explored within this poem, we also find the broader existential reflections on life, time, the human journey itself. The poem prompts us as readers to contemplate the transient nature of existence and the inevitability of change. The emotional and spiritual arcs of the poet mirror the universal experience of grappling with the complexities of life, aging, and the quest for meaning. The poem invites us to confront the challenges and uncertainties inherent in the human experience. This existential dimension adds depth to the thematic exploration, resonating with the universal aspects of the human condition. In conclusion, we can say that in this poem, William Blake crafts a multi-layered and thought-provoking exploration of innocence, experience, spirituality, the intricacy of human emotions, yes, as well as existential reflections using symbolism and allegory. And the poem transcends its lyrical beauty to offer profound insights into the human condition and the complexities of the spiritual journey. Okay. Next we come to the figures of speech of the poem. The entire first stanza represents and employs a metaphor throughout the poem, where the dream is not just a literal dream, but it serves as a metaphor for an idealized state of being, symbolized by the speaker being a maiden queen. So this metaphorical dream introduces the theme of innocence in the poem. In the next stanza, we see there are two cases of personification where William Blake has used personification to bring out a vivid imagery in the poem. So the first case is where "so he took his wings and fled," and the second case is "then the morn blushed rosy red." In the third stanza, again we see a case of personification where the poet uses the words "I dried my tears and armed my spheres," where the fears are being personified, suggesting that they can be armed. Next we see a case of hyperbole use, where the poet is using the exaggeration of 10,000 shields and spheres to place certain emphasis on the poem. The fourth stanza employs a case of personification, a case of irony, a case and two cases of metaphor. So the case of personification is "soon my angel came again," where the angel is being personified. The case of irony is "I was armed, he came in vain." So the speaker is armed and seemingly prepared, but the arrival of the angel is in vain. It suggests a reversal of expectations. The case of metaphor is "for the time of youth had fled." So the time of youth is metaphorically described as fleeing. And the next case of metaphor is "and grey hair were on my head." So grey hairs on the head is metaphorically representing the aging and the passage of time. The rhyme scheme used in this poem is in the scheme of AABB for each quatrain. This means that the first and the second lines rhyme with each other, and the third and the fourth lines rhyme with each other within each 4-line stanza of this poem. So the consistent AABB rhyme scheme contributes to the poem's lyrical quality and musicality. It creates a sense of rhythm that complements the thematic exploration of innocence, experience, and the complexities of human emotion in this poem. Thank you for listening. Please let us know in the comment section or write to us at the provided email ID to let us know your thoughts about the channel and its contents. Have a good day.